Hi Year 8, this is Mrs. Perez. I'm just checking in with you because I have had a couple of questions about the folio and I just wanted to go through it with you carefully and to ensure that it's not too bad how you guys are going so far, so I wouldn't stress too much. This is the marking criteria. If I scroll down to the next page, this is the task. And this is the specifications, and here's marking criteria. All I'm going to mark is I'm going to mark here your ring, so I will give it a mark out of 10. I am going to mark the Illustrator design itself, which you're going to show me. I've already seen it, but you're also going to show me in the folio, but let's just leave that there. That's going to be a mark by itself. And then the Illustrator skill, I'm going to mark how well you used Illustrator. And finally, how it looks aesthetically overall, I'm going to give you a mark out of 10. Then the folio, this is what we want to know. Okay, so there are 2 sections, even though you have to do all the sections. The 2 sections I'll be marking are the production, so I have to make sure that you've got all your headings, which I'll talk to you in a second. The risk management section, which I'll show you in a second, and the how you described how your pendant was created, your production steps, and the procedure for your ring. So steps for your pendant, steps for your ring. And then finally an evaluation, which I will show you some, I want to see some ideas, and all of the ideas I want it to be evaluated. And secretly, that's a PMI, which I'm going to show you in a sec. And finally, this means final design drawn, including annotations, so arrows all over it would be fine, or like little comments all over it would be fine, is going to have a little bit of marks in here, but it's going to have its marks come from here, this sort of skill level. Okay. Now that we know that, I'm just going to jump over to the folio guide that you've got in Exchange. Now, in Exchange, you've got a guide that looks like this. This is the title page, etc., etc. And it has to be done in InDesign, and here's your titles. So you've got a title called Analyze, Research, Ideas, Production, and Evaluation. And these 2 are the ones I'm going to mark. These 3 I have to see. Okay, so let's scroll down. I'm going to jump to the sample guide I gave you in an email a while ago. Now, it was a sample and I've got sample over it. Check your emails from me and it has a file like this. If not, I'll send you one again. This one here, it had a title that was different. It had identifying. I've changed it to analyze for the sake of making it really easy for us to follow, but it's the same. See how it's the same thing? So all you have to provide me is the design brief stays the same. Areas of research, so areas of investigation, areas of research. Just give me a table that says something like you have to find out about silver, how to make a ring, action plan. I will follow the teacher. I also, maybe you would do some YouTube searching. Illustrator, you will work out how to do all the different shapes. Even though we showed you in class, maybe you had to have a fiddle with it. So you might say something like, I had to experiment with a few ideas. With the laser cutter, of course, you had to get those lines right, the red and the black. 0.01. So maybe you would write something like, I had to identify parts of my drawing that was going to be cut and parts of my drawing that was going to be etched or cut through. Okay, criteria for success. All you're going to write here, if let's say I was doing a pendant that was like a very old-fashioned sort of bohemian design, I might say, I want lots of curves in my pendant. I want my ring to be very smooth. I want my design to come across as being a very bohemian design. And the reasoning is because I want to keep it in a theme. I want to make it look completely flawless. I want to make sure that my theme is translated in my pendant, something like that. Okay. Here is really easy. All you have to give me is 3 different symbols. You put it in this in these sketches, and you go. You just tell me for each symbol. Tell me what the symbol represents. So if it's a wedding ring, you tell me, okay, it represents the ongoing unity. So that's why it's a circle. Or you could say recount its origin, so you have to tell me its history. And when you create your own symbol, it's important to understand that you need to make sure that it's not copyright and trademark. And this one here, environmental impact of using silver. So for you guys, all you're going to give me is 3 symbols, explain and the history of it, an explanation of what copyright is, an explanation of what trademark is, an explanation of the environmental impact of using silver. Okay. The next part here basically answers everything I need to know in my marking criteria. All you got to do is give me 3 different designs of yours. Make sure one of them is yours and give me a PMI. Okay. And if, let's say you did one that didn't have a circle in the middle, fine, that's 1. Let's say you did one and then you added too many shapes to it, that's 2. And then your final one. Okay, now this page, just read it. It's not going to be marked. I just want to see if you can do it. And then here, I've given you some examples in this page. It says, this is your risk management. So this is what I'm going to mark. So it says here that it's about your production of your design, and in your production you need to make sure that you worked out some potential risks. So the solder, using that the flame, that was a risk. So I want you to tell me what precautions, what risk management we did to ensure that we protected ourselves and were correct with our work health and safety. So something like wearing the goggles, wearing our aprons, ensuring that only one person used it at a time. You had a supervisor using the solder, which was always a teacher. The laser cutter was inside the machine. We made sure we designed it correctly in terms of even just filing the silver. You had to file a certain way to ensure that you didn't hurt yourself. You had to there were lots of things in there that we had to do that didn't cause harm. So I want you to just see what you can say there. The production. So you need to list steps of creating your product. So there was 2, the ring and, so I'll type it here, the ring, and you have to do the steps here. So 1, 2, 3, etc., etc. And then you have to do the pendant, and you have to do all your steps for the pendant, etc. And then you have to give me a page. This is a page, and it basically put in your final picture, and you can annotate, meaning like you can point to it saying, these curves were here because I had a theme going. This shape here was symbolic of something that I had designed and for the reason I had designed it. So that is a nice 1 page. Don't worry, don't stress about how you do it. Okay, the last part is the project evaluation. Again, these were questions that were given to you in this sample folio, and all it is write a paragraph for each question, and all you have to do is write about what you found difficult. I could go forever with these questions. The things I found difficult were trying to get the silver to meet, and I filed it, and every time I filed it, because I was filing at a certain angle, it made the angle of the silver not meet. So when I solder it, it didn't work. You could go forever. I found it easy to complete the tasks when making my jewelry pieces. I found it easy, let's say, to use Illustrator because the way my shape was, it seemed to work really well. Other people might say, I had a terrible time using Illustrator because I really wanted this unique sort of curve in my in my shape, and then when I did it, the laser cutter just couldn't cut it, or it just didn't work out, or it didn't understand the lines that I had drawn with the pen. So there's lots of things you can say. And so you have to answer these questions in a certain way, that just a small paragraph. Don't worry about numbers. Just make sure you try and answer the question. Okay, so very quickly to recap, all you've got to give me is, in this sample guide, I've changed the title so you know that it's analyze, not identify. And all you've got to do is go 1, so this is analyze, do these 2 tables. 2, do this research task, which is just table, copyright, trademark, environmental impact of silver. That's all that is. 3, give me 3 ideas, 2 original ideas. Let's say it's just the same one, but maybe it has a couple of missing bits or too much bits. Fine, whatever works. And yours, a little one pasted here, do a PMI. And then you can do this page, which is just evaluation of a success. Talk about risk management, things that we did to prevent harm to ourselves in using equipment that we did, which was, quite dangerous. And then production, do a production for the ring, do a production for the pendant, and then give me a page, which is your final drawing, and annotate it, put arrows all over it, and explain what your design is. And then answer these questions. A little paragraph is fine. As long as you answer the questions, that'll be fine. And that is your folio. Okay, if anybody needs a copy of this sample, let me know and I'll send it to you again. But otherwise, good luck and ask me any questions when I see you on Monday. Okay, thanks guys.